The State Department was questioned about what's going on with Israel and Palestine, and I'm not sure if their comments could have been worse. Although we will be talking about what's going on in New York, so maybe it's possible. But anyway, here is a bit of State Department representative talking about what's going on there.
I want to ask you about East Jerusalem, but let's talk about what you said about the principle of self-defense. Does that in any way apply to the Palestinians? Do they have a right to self-defense? Do Palestinians have a right to self-defense?
In broadly speaking, Saeed, we believe in the concept of self-defense. We believe it applies to any state. I don't think that. I certainly wouldn't want my words to be construed as.
I understand. I want to ask you on Israel. I don't want to harp on this either, but the Israelis killed 13 people just now, including maybe 5 or 6 children. Do you condemn that? Do you condemn the killing of children?
Saeed,
I'm asking, do you condemn the killing of Palestinian children?
Obviously, and these reports are just emerging, and I understand, I was just speaking to the team, I understand we don't have independent confirmation of facts on the ground yet, so I'm very hesitant to get into reports that are just emerging.
Dan, what are your thoughts?
I mean, he's handing you the thoughts that are just emerging. I understand the facts on the ground can be kind of, difficult when you're early on the situations. But again, unfortunately, we've done this song and dance before of these strikes and attacks with Israel and Hamas, like back and forth against each other. And just in general, if you've been a spokesperson of any kind, you're doing tragedies, unfortunately, as part of the job, you kind of know that over time, as like the dust settles, usually the death and casualty count goes up. So like if it's 1, it's bad. If it's 2, it's bad. If it's 20, it's bad. If it gets worse, which it like might very well be. Or let's say, okay, given the benefit of the doubt, they overcounted somehow, it's 15. Do you condemn the killing of Palestinian children or not? Like that was the question. And he, again, said that, I don't want my words to get misconstrued. Then give us some words that we can't misconstrue.
Yes, totally. And by the way, people are asking who that is. It's Ned Price, spokesman for it. And other people are saying it's Ned Price. You can also call him Neo Price because he's dodging those questions like someone in the Matrix. Yeah, that was terrible. I get that sometimes initial reports are wrong. And it turns out, by the way, he was right to be cautious. That reporter was asking him to condemn the killing of 5 or 6 children. And had he done that, he would have been wrong because actually, apparently at least 9 kids were killed. When is it ever better than the initial reports? Like, actually, reports are showing that the missiles hit rubble and blew them back into a hospital. No, that's never what happens. More people are going to have died. But you chose not to even condemn the smaller number. Now it looks even worse by comparison. And you got like your job as a spokesman, I get it, is to be soulless and to do whatever you're told. But when they say, do they have a right to self-defense? And he basically says, the Biden, come on, man. Like, you know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not. And like, obviously as a human, I'd prefer for civilians not to die. But I've got a job to do now. That's what that whole thing just screams to me. I'm going to really try not to be devastated by the immoral positions I'm being forced to hold for a paycheck. But the refusal to condemn because he was told not to. Let's keep it real. Before he was sent out there, they said, don't give an inch. Israel's allowed to defend themselves. Don't acknowledge Palestine or Palestinians even exist. And if people died, well, that's sort of the situation. Just get out there so that we can say we did a press conference and then end it, okay? But that's not really the way it worked out. And Dan, in a moment, we're gonna have the follow-up for that. But any other thoughts about that first bit?
No, I think that was good. Let's follow up.
Okay, well, it immediately went into this follow-up question. Great questions, by the way, in this press conference. So let's go to this next one.
You're gonna know as soon as I read what your answer was that there's a big problem with it. You said, well, not a problem, it just doesn't answer the question. We believe that it, meaning the right to self-defense, applies to any state. Well, you see the problem, right? Yes?
Do you want to?
Do you regard Palestine as a state?
I wasn't referring.
Do you think you don't in the context of the ICC and the UN? So are you saying that you do not, if it applies to any state, are you saying that Palestinians don't have a right to self-defense?
I was making a broader point, not attached to Israel or Palestinians in that case.
So they do have a right to self-defense.
Matt, I'm not in a position to debate the legalities from up here.
From up here, then step down. Honestly, if being up there is a bit of a problem, then step down. No, but I love it's like, does Israel have a right to self-defense? You bet your A they do. They definitely do. What about Palestine? I mean legalities, and who am I to say? Above my pay grade, can't comment on that. It is weird how it really depends, Dan, on which group you're talking about, whether he's willing to say things that are definitive.
I occasionally get into Twitter arguments that go around the idea that people need to raise their standards of journalism in America, because rarely do you see questions like that. I need to find out that journalist's name. That is incredible. That means like a Pulitzer. It means like awards and recognition. That's like it's because like he asks the questions, like Megan the Stallion the questions. Extra E at the end, like seriously, and you just don't get that so often in America, honestly. But like I'm glad that he was there to keep him honest. Great mask, by the way, but like it was like a tie-dye color thing. But like he was so good at keeping him honest. I think the clip is like, rarely does the clip just speak for itself. Rarely can I have like some like hot take above it. But just like that spokesperson, I guess I'll say this: if you have any assumption in your head, dear viewers out there, that people will not sell their soul and their public image and what they're willing to say for relatively low sums of money, this shouldn't be your first lesson in this, but this should be like the final lesson in that.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I mean, your comment that sort of like the clip sort of just tells the story. You don't even need the audio in that. Because he failed in like it doesn't bother other people, but it's always like there's one thing that you are in that job, whether you're that guy or if you're Kayleigh McEnany or if you're I'm forgetting her name now, Huckabee Sanders, is control your face, because when that guy's follow-up question came, Ned started blushing and he was smiling. It's a subtle thing, I get it. He called you on your BS and you knew it. You knew it before the question was even done. But if you go back to that video, he's got the little smile of, oh, you got me, did you? You saw the thing I was doing? You get that, like, as a human, I'm naturally supposed to be against the killing of children, but I have to really try to get through this situation without implying that there's anything fundamentally immoral about killing children. I really have to do that. So if you could back off, that'd be great, thanks. That's what we saw right there. Oh, and by the way, while we are critical of a lot of different people so far in this show, particularly Israel for the decision to kill these civilians totally needlessly, civilians unconnected to the firing of the rockets, that's our government. And Ned isn't even fundamentally the problem. He's saying what he was told to say. So it's our State Department who has the totally wrong position on this. And are we supposed to assume that the State Department is like giving a big middle finger to Joe Biden? No, Joe Biden, save your empathy. We're gonna stand with the killing of, no. As of right now, since Joe Biden hasn't contradicted what we're seeing from the State Department, this is the position of the Biden administration, that Israel gets to defend itself, states get to defend themselves. So if you'd like to really have it on easy mode, stop a group of people from having a state, and then you can do anything you want to them. They can't do anything back. It's a really sweet situation if you can set it up.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.